Part 2. Oh, God. Okay, the first part of this was ass. And it was choppy because we caught it live. This is fully laid out. So we're going to... My mom used to get the government cheese, too. We got the powdered kind, though, in Kentucky. Yeah, powdered cheese. Powdered government cheese. Yeah. And powdered milk. That was another big thing. Anyway, who in the chat room got powdered milk as a kid? Okay, so Bret Baier, apparently this didn't get better. And I can't imagine it would because Trump gets testy. I'm honestly shocked he didn't walk out. And I think it's largely because it's Fox and he knows he still needs them. So here we go. This is round 2.
Let's talk about the economy. Would your policies roughly be similar to your...
Okay, so this is why he released that video.
...first term as far as taxes regulation?
Yeah, and I do even more.
Yeah, sure, yes. What did I do?
More taxes. Don't forget.
I do even... What?
Let's talk about the economy. Would your policies roughly be similar to your first term as far as taxes regulation?
Yeah, and I do even more taxes. Don't forget.
I do even more taxes. Don't forget. I think he means cut even more taxes, but I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt. Sorry. After the idiocy that was in the first one, we're going with this. Trump just said he wants to add more taxes in his second term. He wants more taxes. He's running on a tax and spend platform. Fuck it.
We took in more money after I gave tax cuts than we did before I did them. People said, how did that happen? I did things, for instance, in the tax bill.
First of all, no.
Foreign big companies like Apple and many others. Apple in particular, because he brought in a lot of money. They were taxed.
He did? Tim Apple? Mr. Apple himself?
To death if they had $5 billion sitting in other countries outside where they made money in other countries like in Europe and Asia. They would take the money and they would leave it there because there was no way of getting it back. I have a clause in there, you're allowed to bring it back at a fairly low tax rate. Everybody brought it back. I mean, trillions of dollars came back into our country all of a sudden. And it was like...
By the way, this is Mitch McConnell's tax plan. This is standard Republican shit. It's not his design. He just signed it. Like, you can tell by how he talks about it. He doesn't understand how it works at all.
Like an explosion. Apple took in, I think, $400 billion they brought back. $400 billion they brought back. They were bringing back the rest. Maybe they've already brought it back. And, you know, it's very interesting with Biden. They haven't been able to hurt the Trump tax cuts because the people won't stand for it.
They haven't been able to hurt the Trump tax cuts. Well, first of all, the individual tax cuts expired. The corporate tax cut is immaterial because they set that 15% base tax rate for billion-dollar companies. That's how they did it. That's how they replaced the fucking tax break that how they put it back in place. Because they basically now can take in taxes from companies that were avoiding it entirely.
Stand for it. But those tax cuts gave us, I think, two things: the tax cuts and the regulation cuts.
And yeah.
I actually think the regulation cuts were more important. You know,
That's because he thinks he had a part of that.
The greatest economy in the history of our country.
No, it's not even true. No. Bret Baier, say something. You've been saying shit all along. It's not true.
I think the regulation cuts were actually more important than the tax.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look at some of the bridges that have fallen down and the train derailments and, you know, the amount of plastics in the environment and microplastics and other. Yeah, I mean, yeah, get rid of those regulations. Nobody's ever been, you know, we won't be happy in America until we have building codes like the Chinese do with their tofu drag projects.
But I did the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan tax cuts, and the biggest regulation cuts in the history of our country.
And business people will agree with that. They do have concerns that costs something. The U.S. added $8 trillion to the
Yeah, that would be it. There you go.
National debt under your administration, about $3.5 trillion before COVID. Much of that time you had a Republican Congress. So if voters are concerned about the debt, why should they believe you'll address the debt in another term?
I love the question because we had to fix a country. When I took this country over, it was broken.
Yeah, it was just fucked up. America, what were you doing with yourself? Huh? You assholes. None of you were working. You're lazy and stupid, and you didn't even have a good riot season in about a decade and a half. What the America, shame on you. Dragging ass until this guy showed up to comb your hair and throw a mint in your mouth.
And we created a machine. And the oil was starting. We were energy independent. We were within 4 months of energy dominance. We were going to be supplying all of the natural gas and oil to Europe, all of it as far as
I'm concerned. Well, the only way you would do that is by eliminating Russia from that market. So you're planning on blowing up the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and sanctioning Russia basically without the Ukraine war? Is that they never would have invaded Ukraine, but all of this shit we would have kicked them out of SWIFT and stopped them from giving gas to Germany, all without even the predicate of the war. Yeah, I would write a note. I would write a note to Putin and let him know that that's the plan.
I was concerned. Remember, I was the one that stopped Putin from building his pipeline. I got it stopped.
No, you didn't. It was still being built. When
Biden came in, he approved it. I said, this guy just approved it. Goes to Germany.
I said, this guy just approved it. He in an attempt to normalize with Russia and calm them the fuck down, he reopened. He said, hey, you guys act right. We'll work with you. We'll mitigate it. And then they were obviously not playing ball. So no. Also, he stopped it in a meaningful way, which is that all insurance companies that have anything to do with the United States, that either contract with the United States or are in the United States, can't insure the pipeline. So if anything happens to it, the Russians got to patch the fucking hole themselves.
Germany and other parts of Europe. I said, this is a disaster because that means that, remember when I gave Angela the white flag of surrender? She said, what does that mean, Donald? I said, that means you're going to surrender because you are reliant on Russia for your...
Yeah, and they didn't. Isn't that weird? Even as bad as it was, Germany did not surrender. When Russia decided to do this, they hemmed and hawed a little bit. But when push came to shove, they told Russia to go fuck themselves. And they shut the pipeline down. And we moved in and helped them. But they're getting the majority of their natural gas from Norway and from Qatar.
Your energy. So when I did this deal, when I did all of this, what was going to happen with our country, we were rocking and rolling.
We so were. And then COVID fucked up. It was so good. I mean, obviously, we would have needed negative interest rates to fix the debt he had already run up, and that's what he was asking for. And that in many ways triggered the recession we started in February of 2020 before the lockdowns even began to have an impact on the economy. But anyways,
at a level, we close to filled up the national reserves, which Biden let out to keep gasoline prices down for an election, which is supposed to be used for war. It's not supposed to be used for that. But
well, I mean, there is a war going on, and it is affecting the supply. Now, we could, I suppose, bomb and take over Russia and then just force production back up to where it was, but that's insane. So we just act like adults and go, oh, we're going to mitigate the cost of this for the time being and then ramp up production over a slow period so that we don't, so we have some drinkable water, a little.
But I filled up 75 million barrels of oil I bought when oil was
75 million barrels. Not a lot.
It was really cheap. I made a great 70 million barrels of oil when oil was cheap. But here's the
when it was cheap. He could have bought it for free. He could have gotten other countries to pay us to take it off their hands, and he waited till the price went up. He got on a call with Russia and Saudi Arabia to fix oil prices and raise them above zero again so that the United States taxpayer would have to pay somewhere in the order of $27 a barrel when they were paying people $30 a barrel to take it off their hands.
thing. we were going, and we were now set. The infrastructure was there. The oil guys were there.
The infrastructure was there. I didn't realize Infrastructure Week was not a mockery of when he didn't pass an infrastructure bill. It was when we just were doing infrastructure during that time. You guys didn't know that? The never-ending Infrastructure Week?
We were going to make so much money as a country. You look at Saudi Arabia. You look at the wealth that they built.
I see them snatching back their money from the royals and cutting the benefits and trying to shift their economy away from an oil-based economy to renewables and technology and tourism because they can see they probably have less than 10 years of reserves left and they're spending money hand over fist and they got nothing else to offer the world. And once the world gets off of oil, once we get off of petroleum products, at least for consumer vehicles, the worth of Saudi Arabia's influence in the world will drop to below zero, just like the price of oil was when you could have filled the fucking reserve.
We have more oil than they do. I got Anwar approved in Alaska. It's as big or bigger than Saudi Arabia. The first day of the Biden administration, they terminated the deal.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because just exploratory drilling for the fuck of it as like open season doesn't work. There was already an approved project. They'd already done the environmental study. Biden used that as a mitigatory step. He got other stuff in trade for that. That seems reasonable. But just letting them just poke holes all over the Alaskan Wildlife Reserve.
Ronald Reagan tried to do Anwar. He was unsuccessful doing it. Bush tried. Everybody tried to do it, all for years and years, for 60 years. I got it done.
No, you didn't. Because part of you clearing that to happen was why you fucking lost. And the guy that replaced you stopped it. Do you think that registers at all? Like you succeeded in doing something, but that thing was so unpopular that it contributed you not getting a second term.
It was all done. They're getting ready.
It was all done. There were pipes and there were pipelines and there were drillings and Steven Seagal was up there with Michael Caine going, fuck, that thing stinks. And on deadly ground, anybody? No. All right. They were already up there doing it. And then it just vanished. Poof.
Ready to drill. And
they were ready to drill. No, they were not.
Biden ended it. Bret, we were going to make so much money. Now
we were going to make so much money collapsing the price of oil to like $12 a barrel and selling it and being like Venezuela. By the way, every description he's making of this process of his, first of all, his belief that it's the nationalization of oil, which it absolutely fucking isn't, and allowing private companies these leases and us getting a pittance in terms of taxes and other stuff compared to the profits made from it. It doesn't fulfill his financial dreams at all. But the way he talks about it is as if he's going to Chavez the oil reserves, nationalize them. The country would we'd just be an oil state like Venezuela or Saudi Arabia right before the collapse.
Everything was said. Then we got the COVID. COVID came in, our gift from China, and we had to do other things.
You believe that?
No, I don't. I believe.
I don't believe it was a gift. You believe that? I don't think it came from China.
That it came in from Wuhan. I said that. If you go back, you'll see I was the one that said it came in from the Wuhan labs from day one. I was told a lot of things like don't close up the country in terms of China. I did, and it was a tremendous. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
No. They weren't telling him not to do it. They were telling him that you can't just take that step. You can't just do that and then pretend it's not here because it's already here. You got to do other shit too. And he's like, I want to shut down the airports and stop all travel from there. Like, you can't do that. First, that won't solve it. You got to do other stuff. That's what he thinks, that them telling him that won't work by itself meant that wasn't part of the process. Because other countries had this conversation. CDC had been talking to other countries that were already closing it. 20 other fucking countries. All the airlines had stopped flying flights. All the main airlines. U.S. Airlines had stopped flying people over from China at that point. And then he still gave it a fucking weekend.
I believe it was incompetence,
Jackie.
actually.
I believe it was incompetence. He's given him the benefit of the doubt because she's top of his game. Nobody can play that guy. It's if he's right out of central casting. He's as sharp as a tack.
There's two thoughts. They did it.
Okay, here's his two thoughts. Shit, here we go.
China, I did, and it was a tremendous. I saved hundreds of thousands of lives. I believe it was incompetence, actually. There's two thoughts. They did it. There's another thought. I was so tough on China, they did it to get me out. But I did better on the election.
You don't believe that part?
I don't believe that. No, I don't. I actually think they were just incompetent.
So
why bring it up? The fuck? Are you just floating this to see if you see a smile cross Bret Baier's face so that you can just go, oh, does that work? Yeah, I thought they totally sent it over. It was on purpose. Why even see? And again, if you're some random dickhead being interviewed by somebody on Fox News, who cares? But you're running to be president. You were previously president. So can you at least, because look, I don't think what he says means anything. I don't take anything Trump says seriously. I do not. It's fucking ridiculous. But he should at least act as though somebody does. And that somebody in his head isn't just a lunatic village in Florida follower in a Trump-painted golf cart driving it out into, I'm part of the boat parade, glug. This is a presidential candidate giving an interview. Maybe I'm being too hard on Marianne Williamson.
It is a big part of that spending, COVID. Do you have regrets about how you handled that? Because some of your opponents are...
No, I don't. It was perfect. I did everything right. Those people just had to go.
Now running these loops of where you say you shut down the country.
We had to artificially close our country.
We did just the right thing. We closed it down. We understood the disease.
By the way, that's the other reason why he ran his Ron DeSantis lockdown Ron thing.
Closed the country down. We studied it. We learned about it. Some people wish we never closed it down. We did the right thing. Everything we did was right.
And do you have regrets about doing that?
I gave the governors the options. For instance, Henry McMaster of South Carolina, governor, great guy, great governor. He didn't shut it down. Tennessee didn't shut it down. South Dakota didn't
He cut Florida.
shut it down. Georgia shut it down for a little while, but not much. They did a good job. 6 states that didn't shut down. It's a federalist system. I told all governors, you do what you want. You can shut it down or not. Florida, by the way, he shut it down tight. No highways, no.
Yeah, but you are I don't give a fuck what stuff you have to allocate legally to the states, because that's not a part of the leadership question anyways. It's like the same shit when we hear, like, when Republicans are asked about public school and stuff, they always go, we need more parental involvement. Well, what are you going to do? Find parents that aren't significant, involved in their kids' studies? You can't do it. So why the fuck are you even talking about it? Only talk about the shit you could actually implement or do anything about. I don't want to hear any bully pulpit shit. If you can't legislate it, the fuck am I talking to you for? I'll go talk to church leaders or community, organizers or fucking the Rotary Club, for fuck's sake. Why? So if you're just going to, there's stuff that I left up to this, you had to, dickhead. That's how our system works. But there are things under his control, like the fucking airports, like ports in general, that he had access to, and he could federally shut down, and he did.
Beaches, no this.
But then pushed back pretty hard. He opened up. But is it fair to criticize him on that? Sure. He was credited for how Florida dealt with COVID.
Because he has better people than other governors, but other governors.
Look at this weird cutting. He gets credit because he has better PR than other governors.
Didn't shut down. It's a federalist system. I told all governors, you do what you want. You can shut it down or not. Florida, by the way, he shut it down tight. No highways, no beaches, no this.
But then pushed back pretty hard. He opened up. But is it fair to criticize him on that? Sure. He was credited for how Florida dealt with COVID.
Because he has better P than other governors, but other governors did a
better P than other governors. It sounds like it's like he mispronounced PR.
In his sock drawer.
And so they trimmed it for him? Yeah, I don't know. Or it's just shit video?
better job than Ron DeSanctimonious. So look,
Why do you use that name?
because I got him elected, and I thought it was very disloyal when he said, yes, I'd run. I got him past 2 races. I got him past the primary because he was losing by 30 points or more.
So
he
it's a
was
loyalty question?
Yeah, it's a loyal. I'm a big loyalist. You know, some people say,
I'm a big loyalist. Now, let me ask you again about everyone in your cabinet who you've called a piece of shit. Or said, as soon as somebody gets arrested, you're like, I barely knew the guy. He's probably a Democrat. He only got me coffee.
some people right here in this room have told me, sir, don't worry about loyalty. Loyalty doesn't mean anything in politics. I said to
Okay, first of all, no one in that room said that to him.
me, it does. I got the guy elected. He came
To me, it does. Because it has to. Because you have to corral people through fear because they are co-conspirators. They're not cabinet members. They're not business partners. They're co-conspirators. That's why he talks about loyalty like he's a fucking mafioso.
to see me. Let's say weeping, because he was dead. He was getting
Okay, all right. Let's say weeping. This is the whole people. Tears in his eyes, I guess, as he lines up this shot. Former Florida governor about to become the Masters champion.
loyalty. Loyalty doesn't mean anything in politics. I said to me, it does. I got the
To me, it does.
guy elected. He came to see me. Let's say weeping, because he was dead. He was getting out of the race. He was looking for jobs already, probably at law firms or wherever he's going to look.
Again, this is such a fucking cartoon. I don't even like Ron DeSantis. I don't even know. The weird part is that he, first of all, he thinks it's a slam if a man cries, that it's a sign of weakness because he fears it so much in himself. Secondly, I don't think DeSantis is the kind of guy that cries over this shit. He's got anger problems. He's not going to weep. He's going to rage. That's why he's a terrible choice to lead someplace. He's snippy. Whatever.
He was totally dead. He ran a horrible campaign. He was running against Adam Putnam, the agriculture commissioner, who was running for that position for 8 years.
Yeah.
Putnam had $38 million bank. Ron had nothing, zero.
Okay. Also, can we just put this in the on the giant pile of Trump's complete inability to choose the right person for the job? Because understand what this man is telling you. Let me explain what this asshole is telling you. He's saying that Ron DeSantis was a loser with a losing campaign. He's weeping. He was looking for other jobs. He was pathetic. And that said to Trump, this guy's a winner. I'm going to help him win. And everything he's done is terrible. Why'd you help him win then? Why'd you back him? What about him? What was the sales pitch? I'll get in there and I'll do whatever you tell me to do? I still don't understand that. How are you the hashtag the best people? How does he fucking pick the best people, allegedly? And yet here he's explaining to us how Ron DeSantis was a shit choice, a shit candidate, and a shit governor. And he's like, I made him. Fuck, maybe it's your fault.
Putnam was at 40%. Ron was at 3%. It was like a wipeout. The election was going to be very soon. I said, you're dead. If George Washington endorsed you, you're not going to win. He said, sir, if you endorse me, I think I could win. And he fought for me along with Jim Jordan and hundreds of other people, in all fairness. He was fine, but he fought. But I would see him every once in a while fighting on the impeachment hoax. So I didn't know Adam Putnam. So I said, let's give it a shot.
See? That's it. Had nothing to do with whether he'd be good for the people of Florida. Had nothing to do with like any of his plans for the fucking state, the citizens in that state. Nothing. It was just, I don't know, the other guy and this guy came and kissed my ass. And by the way, that's not loyalty. You got used. Trump got used by Ron DeSantis. You believe this story? Basically, the other version of this, the other side of the story is Ron DeSantis showed up, whinged a little bit, said MAGA, 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 and Trump was like, okay, I'll back you, and whatever. I don't know anything about this race, but you kissed my ass, so okay. And he got him elected. DeSantis used Trump and his fucking dough-headed idea of what loyalty is.
I endorsed him, and it was like a bomb went off. As soon as I endorsed him, he won the primary. It was over. He won by a landslide. But then I had him to get him past Gillum, who was a rock star. He was going to be the next president of the United States.
Yeah, no, that wasn't a problem. Gillum had other problems. If it was 1-to-1, DeSantis would have lost.
States. He was the biggest guy in the party. Him and female version, Stacey Abrams, right?
Stacey Abrams wasn't running for governor.
These are the two hottest politicians in the Democrat Party. And Ron said, there's no way I can beat him. I said, you're going to beat him. I did 3 rallies.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
We had big, massive rallies for Ron, 3 of them. I said, you're going to win. He ended up winning. He ended up winning by
So it makes you mad.
tight race. And
Makes you mad.
Then 3 years later, they say to him, then I didn't deal with it. I didn't know him that well. 3 yeyears later.
I didn't know who he was. I just endorsed him. I don't know you know what? Endorsements to me are like retweets. They're not, are not indicative of my actual opinion. Their retweets are not endorsements, but my endorsements are basically retweets.
But I got him elected. But I did that with other people too. But you know what, just out of respect. So I said, 3 years later, they asked him, are you going to run against the president? He said, I have no comment. I said, no comment. No comment means he's going to run. I said, this guy's going to run. And he was dead as a doornail. He wasn't like, I didn't help him 90%. I helped him 100%. Some I do and some I help. But this guy was.
Some I do and some I help. Barf, barf. God help the ones he does.
Dead politically. And for him to then say, I'm going to run against a guy that got me into office. And I didn't need that because I took a lot of heat. I had a lot of friends that were on the other side of that one. I took big heat on that. It's not that easy to do.
One was a leader and one let us down.
So
when your PAC is running ads against him, and actually it adds up to more money than you spent supporting GOP candidates in 2022.
Yeah, that's one of the key points I like to point out. If I may, I've always said that, and maggots, I know we've got a couple of them in here. I don't know why you're here. I don't know why you're not at Donald J. Trump right now filling out the donation form or upping your donation. Do you even, MAGA bro? Give this man your money. Give all of your money to this man. Otherwise, you're just flapping. You're just flapping. Do you really care? Now, I know you just heard what we all heard, which was, of course, that your money is not going to go to elect Trump even necessarily. It's going to be spent on his legal fees and to keep his properties afloat. And then, of course, if there is any money that's directed at like the super PAC and stuff, it's not going to elect Republicans, let's say, in the midterm when Trump wasn't even running. It was just he fucking snorted or blow it on airplane parts or something like that. And I got to tell you, that's fine. You know. You buy your ticket, you take your chances.
Well, I supported a lot of
I
candidates.
know, but your tally so far on the PAC running ads against DeSantis is more than that support. So why do it? I mean, do you see him as the biggest threat?
Well, he's the number 2 right now, yeah. I mean, you know, at some place he could be replaced. The way he's going right now, he's dropping like a rock. He could be number 3, number 4, and you won't ever hear me talking about him again. I like fighting number 2. If you
Yeah, that's true. I like fighting number 2 is a great example. It's mostly that's the biggest struggles of his life. I mean, that's got to be a quote. I like fighting number 2. How is that not how is that not a headline on every newspaper?
in a golf match and you got one guy that's close and other guys that aren't so close, but he's not close. I'm leading him by 45 or 50 points.
Last thing on COVID.
No, he isn't.
In your mind,
you are at 45 or 50 points. That's not the same thing. You only have half your fucking party. You were president already. You've been president and half your party is like, what else you got?
did the COVID vaccine work?
It's such an interesting question.
It is interesting, isn't it? Interesting is a word I would use. Does the COVID vaccine work? It's interesting. Interesting.
Because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world. You know, we did a tremendous job on that. But
they didn't do anything. All he did was say, use everything. Stick a light bulb up your ass, drink some horse paste, fucking eat some fish tank cleaner, inject anything in you, right to try.
We had a wet vaccine. Now you have different. You have different COVIDs. You had COVID.
You have different COVIDs. This is going to be good. Somebody get out a legal pad. This is going to require notes. There were different COVIDs. Okay. I think he means strains. We'll see.
I also did the Regenerons of the world, you know.
The Regenerons of the world. As the duly designated house parks of the world. I take issue.
We did a tremendous job on that. But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different. You have different COVIDs. You had COVID-19, and then you have different COVIDs. But we had original was COVID-19, which was the roughest one.
They're all COVID-19, fuckhead. They're all. That's all COVID-19. There are strains of that particular disease. It's not. We haven't gotten COVID 20, 21, 22. The fuck are you talking about? Look at this gibberish. Grown man. This man was president.
But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different. You have different.
And by the way, we had a. Does that sound like he's saying we had a wet vaccine?
Because not only that, I also did the Regenerons of the world. You know, we did a tremendous job on that. But we had a wet vaccine. Now you have different. You have different.
Yeah, we had a wet vaccine. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know because you don't take it in the pill form. We had a wet vaccine. What is he talking about? Is anybody? Shit.
COVIDs.
I prefer the wet kind.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Baier.
All right.
You had COVID-19, and then you have different COVIDs. But we had an original.
Don't help him, Bret. Bret, don't save him from himself, asshole. You don't get to do that. Don't give him the word. He's got the best words. Back off, okay? You don't know. Bret, he'll work it out.
Was COVID-19, which was the roughest one. So I have a Democrat friend who's very smart. Hopefully he votes for me, but he's very smart. He said, I don't understand one thing about you. I watch your rallies. They're incredible. You talk about beating ISIS. You talk about taxes. You talk.
I have a Democrat friend that's very smart. He means Alan Dershowitz. That's it. That's who he's talking about. Alan used to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein, got a massage at Jeffrey Epstein's private house that was worth $70 million that he paid for it. It cost him $1 because he either had leverage on or provided sex trafficking victims to the guy who owned the fucking place. So he gave him the house for $1 to keep him, up to his fucking eyeballs in teenage girls. Or younger, God knows. Who gives, ugh.
Talk about regulation. You talk about everything. But you never said that. I've never heard you talk about how the incredible job you did with the vaccines, because
you never said,
as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years.
No. All right, first of all of your followers think they're dangerous, and they don't want to take them. They're untested. That's why shit takes 5 to 12 years. It's because most of the time, there's a bunch of different variants, and they wait for it to settle down so you don't have to get boosters all the time, and that's been other diseases. It has no reflection on any new pathogen that they're dealing with. There's no way to chart it at all. And the idea, though, is that maggots all over are like, I wouldn't take that shit for another decade until they work out the kinks.
Broke their ass, okay? Incredible job you did with the vaccines, because, as you know, I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay? And you know who doesn't like me too much?
Wait, I broke?
Moon River.
I broke their ass. Okay. Busted their ass? I busted people's... Busted? Sure. Broke? Broke. You broke their ass. You broke their actual assholes? With what? It can't be your fingers. They're too small, and neither is the other thing. So what'd you do? You broke their ass. You
because,
run that by me again?
I got them done in 9 months, and it was supposed to take anywhere from 5 to 12 years. I broke their ass, okay?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Congratulations, ass breaker. What? I broke their ass, he says. Sorry, 1 second. I broke their ass. Hello, bullshit. What in the world?
And you know who doesn't like me too much? The FDA. Because
And and everyone at the FDA's ass.
they were very bureaucratic, and I got it done. And he said, you may have saved in the world, throughout the world, 100 million people, and you never talk about it. I said, I really...
Yeah, it's interesting because, ironically, my voters hate that many people have said they've been waiting for the great. They jack off to the purge while wearing hats with my my logo on it and T-shirts with my head on Rambo's body. So I don't know that I can actually. There's better, and half of them want those other people dead. They think I saved a bunch of third world people. Good Lord.
Don't want to talk about it because as a Republican, it's not a great thing to talk about because for some reason, it's just not.
For some
reason, it's just not. I know a reason. I was one of the reasons. Your supporters are fucking lunatics. That's why. But what do I know? I'm a thrice-vaxxed zombie with the inability to put two thoughts together. I can barely get myself up a flight of stairs. I've been immunized the exact same number of times Trump has. It must be something genetic.
Yeah, for some reason, because people love the vaccines and people hate the vaccines.
And the people that love the vaccines are the people who are smart and want to live and want to be functional members of society. And the people who hate the vaccines are my base. It's weird.
But conservatives aren't. And I understand both sides.
Wait a minute. But conservatives aren't in. What? Hold on. Did I drop out? No, I'm okay. All right, back up to this whole thing. Give me 1 second.
For some reason?
Yeah, for some reason, because people love the vaccines and people hate the vaccines. But conservatives aren't. And I understand.
But conservatives aren't in. So conservatives, he means conservatives hate the vaccines. Because and again, this has a lot to do with the whole inability on his part or unwillingness or quite frankly, fear of decoupling MAGA from conservatism, as a general ideology. He can't do it because it's the end of him as a political force. So he has to pretend that all maggots are conservatives and all conservatives are maggots, and that there's the overlap is pure. Whereas in reality, the people who call themselves conservatives that he runs into, they are all to the person maggots, and all the maggots are offshoots of QAnon. And so they hate it. They think it's a fucking Depop scam.
Both sides of it, by the way. I understand both sides very well.
Yeah, I understand both sides very well. So I'm going to just sit here on the fence with one of the little white pickets up my broken ass. I mean, really.
Well, what I didn't do is the mandates. The mandates and the vaccines don't go. And you had these governors mandating.
Well, you did with
and
the
by
Defense
the way,
Department.
Ron DeSantis.
The Pentagon did.
Well, hold on. You did it with the Pentagon. You did it with the Defense Department. That's where the soldiers had to do it. That happened under Trump. And then Ron, he can't even get out his fucking nickname. Ron DeSantis.
What I didn't do is the mandates. The mandates and the vaccines don't go. And you had these governors mandating.
Well, you did with
and
the
by
Defense
the way,
Department.
Ron DeSantis.
The Pentagon did.
Ron DeSantis had lines of people trying to get the vaccine. He set up whole things. When I never.
Hey, wait a minute. If people are lining up to get it, it's because they want to get it. What's your fucking point?
I saw a guy that could forget the past so quickly because the past wasn't that long ago.
He does have the best memory.
Ron DeSantis had
DeSantis? You can't even fucking remember the nickname you just gave him, asshole. DeSanctimonious. I don't even know why I'm repeating it. It's stupid anyways. Just call him DeSantis. That makes as much and as little sense.
He literally had people lined up trying to get the vaccine. All the things that he said. For instance, Ron DeSantis loved Fauci.
Sure, but you didn't fire him. You listened to him. You kept
he's
him
a
on.
civil service for it. You're not actually allowed to fire him, but I wouldn't let that usually get in my way. You know, it's one of those things.
Okay, it's one of those things. You never fired anybody. You always had somebody else fire them. He's a wuss. There was never a you're fired moment in the entirety of the Trump administration. Even Bill Barr was like, if you want me to do this, I have my resignation letter right here. And he goes, okay, well, give me your resignation letter. That was it. That's the closest he ever fucking came. There was never a, you're fired, get out of here, which is what he promised on the campaign trail.
But I never,
among other bullshit.
Spent a lot of time with Fauci. Who did is Biden. Fauci became...
Okay, first of all, yes, you did. First, the idea was that you were having meetings with CDC and NIH people every fucking day. Spent that much time. The idea is that you guys were all having these meetings and then walking out right after the meeting and having these relatively impromptu slapdash scatterbrain fucking PR pushes in the press room.
Very powerful under Biden. Remember, Fauci was the one that said...
You mean very powerful under Biden? You mean the part where we actually got vaccines and people were able to get them?
Don't close it to China. I closed it to China. Fauci,
I closed it to China. Again, this is...
Believe it or not, was totally anti-mask, and then he became a radical masker. But on the vaccines, so the mandates are horrible.
He wasn't...
And I was always against
He wasn't anti-mask.
But really...
Shut the fuck up. He wasn't anti-mask. The science was not proven enough that it would be helpful. He was saying, stay the fuck home. They were looking at the death rate of this pathogen in China, which is way fucking bigger than any number they've ever produced. I'm telling you, there is a minimum of 20 million dead in China from that, in 2020. And so the CDC and the NIH and all those folks were talking to him, and they're looking at these figures, and China's saying, we've got about a couple thousand dead, or a couple people are sick. And they're like, no, these crematoriums are running non-fucking stop. They are burying people in piles in certain places. Basically, they're going to be mass graves found in China after this is all over. 20 million, easy. And they're like, this is fucking bad. Masks aren't going to do it. Stay the fuck home. We don't even know where the shit this thing is coming from. And then they started learning more about the pathogen. They got the genome of it. They were able to spread it around to labs around the world and start working on it.
On the vaccines, I let the governors make their decisions. But you have a lot of people.
First of all, you have to. That's how state of emergencies work in the United States. Unless you want to suspend habeas corpus and put martial law in place, that shy of that, which nobody expected anybody to fucking do it, or why would you even need to do it in that regard? You have to turn it over to the governors.
That love the vaccines. I mean, you do. They happen to be more Democrat than they are Republican.
That's why I asked the question.
But you have a lot of people. There are people that say I saved 100 million lives. I don't even talk about it.
I don't even talk about it, but I just said it, and I did. But the vaccines, obviously, my voters think they killed the same amount of people, but I don't even talk about it because that's how fucked up my party is, that you literally can't even take credit for saving 100 million lives if it means signing off on a vaccine again. This man is clamoring for the leftover bottom of the barrel votes of the maggot world that's still left.
On law and order, you have said you'd be in favor
Clung, clung.
of the death penalty for drug dealers.
Yeah.
Still the case?
Yeah, it's the only way you're going to stop it. Look.
Yep. Look, the only way you're going to stop it.
Yeah, look. We can be babies and we can have blue ribbon committees. I had my great first lady, beautiful wife, Melania, who says hello. She was in charge of a committee, a blue ribbon committee of socialites and various other people that want to be on a committee. And they worked very hard. And by the way, had an impact. You know, we brought it down 18%, but 18% is not 100.
No, he didn't. The 18% lowering was when all the borders and ports were closing. Most of the drugs that come into this country come in through shipping containers. When all the shipping in the fucking world drops off, of course the number of drugs coming into the country drops off precipitously. You out of your fucking mind?
When I was in China, I met with President Xi, 1.4 billion people.
No.
I said, do you have a drug problem? No, 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 no.
Oh, Jesus Christ. First of all, they have a huge drug problem, asshole.
Oh, I do not have a drug problem. I said,
I do not have a drug problem. It's great. You know, it's English is fantastic.
when I was in China, I met with President Xi, 1.4 billion people. I said, do you have a drug problem? No, 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 no.
Are you drunk right now? You smell like meth and fish.
I do not have a drug problem. I said, why do you say that is? Because we immediately give a quick trial and a penalty to drug dealers. And if you go...
Wait, did they cut out death penalty?
Why do you say that is? Because...
Why do you say that is? Fuck, man, I didn't even realize he spoke Chinese.
We immediately give a quick trial and a penalty.
Yep, somebody on Rumble or whatever cut out the word death.
To drug dealers. And if you go to Singapore, rich, everything else, they had a huge drug problem. Zero drug problem.
No, even when they kill you, still drugs.
If you want to get rid of it, now, I don't know that this country is ready for it.
No, we're what's called a democracy with a Bill of Rights. So yeah, no, we're not ready for summary executions based on accusations of drug dealing. Fuckhead.
Don't know. You know, every time I say it, I sort of like, it's not easy to say.
Jesus Christ. Sometimes I say it, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm saying another bullshit idea from Steve Miller's genocidal fucking dome. But here we go. Hang on. Let's do it. My fucking, this dude,
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
The death penalty. But remember this, a drug dealer, male or female drug dealer.
Male or female. That's good. It's important. Male or female. Not just the men.
Plenty of female drug dealers, too.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of female drug dealers. Matter of fact, I think Bret Baier's about to bring up one that you might know personally. Fuckhead.
A drug dealer will kill approximately 500 people during the course of his or her life.
So you were a big proponent of the...
Oh, yeah, but only if they really apply themselves. I mean, you gotta work at that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, you know, it's not like Call of Duty where you can just, you know, buy COD points. It's a shit.
First Step Act, the criminal justice reform. You even ran an ad during the Super Bowl about it.
With gratitude, I want to thank President Donald John Trump.
Critics of that law point out that 13,500 people have been released. About 12% of them have committed serious crimes after that. Joel Francisco was serving a life sentence for selling crack cocaine. He was released in 2019, alleged stabbing a man to death, rearrested. Paul Moore, drug trafficker, fatally shot.
Look at Trump's eyes. Is it just me or they just all of a sudden get bloodshot, like in 2 seconds? Like, these are all people you got out of jail and they've murdered or raped or stabbed somebody. And but please go on about immigrants doing something. It's something. Watch this.
Life sentence for selling crack cocaine.
Watch Trump's eyes when he cuts to him, and he does that kind of like there's like this. Wait, watch.
He was released in 2019, alleged stabbing a man to death, rearrested. Paul Moore, drug trafficker, fatally shot.
It just froze.
Arrival received a reduced sentence. So there are those, and your opponents are hitting on this.
Yeah, but I focused on nonviolent crime.
Yeah, I focused on nonviolent crime. Guess what, asshole? Your slapdash bullshit bill that got through because everybody wanted to try to clamor to get what they needed, every edge they could possibly get, and every time this motherfucker thinks black people, he thinks criminals. The only way you can appeal to them is to appeal to their love of criminals. That's what it is. That's what he's selling. Every fucking time. That's his thought. well, let some criminals out. Maybe the low-end criminals, and they'll be happy with me for letting some of the low-end criminals out, and they'll vote for me because of that. Fuck out of here. If it mattered that they were nonviolent, you should have been hyper specific. Like, if you're let out, if you have a whatever, if your sentence is past a certain point, you don't just get out or get a lower sentence. You have to have mandatory probation for a period of that time that's equivalent of parole, meaning you can be thrown in jail immediately upon, violating. So you keep people who've engaged in really gnarly shit from just thinking, I don't know, I guess I'll just wait till the next dickhead like Trump gets back in.
An example, a woman who you know very well.
Ooh, this goes very badly for him. This is just, you can see that rake a-coming. It's coming around the bend. And I ain't seen it hit someone so hard since I don't know when. And he's just stepping on that rake and it's got a plate of dog shit on the end. Oh, man.
Was in jail. She had 24 more years to serve. She served for 22 years. She had 20.
Alice Johnson.
Alice.
She was in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, she was in the Super Bowl ad. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
High quality. Oh, yeah. I said, how many years? And she was on a telephone call, and they were involved in selling marijuana, mostly marijuana. And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
I just love that. But she would be killed under your plan quickly. Did you realize parole and all that shit isn't possible if you fucking murder someone? This is why, by the way, to reiterate, if I may, point of order, Mr. Chairman, it is why we here, and by we I mean me, at Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, are against the death penalty. Not because some people haven't overstepped the line to a point where the world wouldn't be better off if they were gone. That's absolutely true. There are a bunch of evil motherfuckers who aren't mentally ill or might try to sell it as mental illness, who have just found a way to meet their needs at the expense of other people to such a horrifying degree that they deserve to be wiped off the face of the fucking earth. But to set up a system like that, you are in danger of always, because no system is perfect, of killing an innocent person. And to me, it is better to throw these assholes in jail for a very, 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 very long time so that at least you can walk it back. If you find out later there was exculpatory evidence or it was a mistaken identity or some other shit or the witness totally lied and they were getting all that shit, you can actually walk it back. You can't do that in a fucking cemetery. That's why. Not because people don't deserve it, but because the one innocent person, I'm not willing to sacrifice that one innocent person just so we can kill a bunch of other people. That's not worth it to me, just for the record. But this asshole is like, kill him, kill him, kill him. They're all kill him. Even if we can't tie him to the 500, statistically, they just deserve to die, so kill him. Yeah, but what if you were fucking wrong again? Watch this. This is fucking glorious.
Huh?
Huh?
And they were involved in selling marijuana, mostly marijuana. And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
Huh?
As a drug dealer.
No. Under that?
Yes, fuckhead. Under that, Mr. Quick Trial. She'd have been dead 20 fucking years ago. 27 now, or whatever the shit. She'd be dead. Of course she'd be dead, dipshit. They had her, no pun intended, dead to rights. She was guilty. She did do that thing. She did it on a scale that most of the people under her are still in jail and she got out. The people she ordered to kill people are still doing time, but you commuted her sentence because you're like, she's a woman, harmless. How much trouble can a woman do? They're physically weak and like you can just see the misogyny in who he lets out. It's fucking on his own when he chooses to do it, like just for show. Oh my God. Look at his face too. Oh, let's see that again. That's so good. It's so, I'm just enjoying this. Okay, here we go.
And she got like 50 years in jail.
But she'd be killed under your plan.
Huh?
As a drug dealer.
No. Under that? It would depend on the severity. It would depend.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to know that. It depends on. So, are we talking like Pop Rocks and Dr. Pepper and kind of talking people into that kind of craziness? Which also, I mean, maybe. Or are we talking?
And on the
This
severity.
ad, she's technically a former drug dealer. She had multi-million-dollar cocaine ring.
Any drug dealer, look.
So even now,
Look.
illegal. Yeah, look. Johnson in that ad.
She can't do it, okay?
All right, no more. Okay, I let her out, but you can't do that shit anymore, okay? Or great.
By the way, if that was there, no, she wouldn't be killed. It would start as of now, so you wouldn't go to the
No, I
past.
know, but your policy.
No.
Again, like you're gonna fucking retro. We're gonna retro. And whenever I change the law, I believe in retroactively charging people with the death penalty. Tim Allen, you're up, buddy. According to Donald Trump, it would take him this much to just push him over the line.
Starting now, yeah. But she wouldn't have done it if it was death penalty. In other words, if it was death penalty, she wouldn't have been on that phone call. She wouldn't have been a dealer. Now, she wasn't much of a dealer because she was sort of like, I mean, honestly, she got treated terribly. She was treated sort of like I get treated. But
I'm sorry. You're complaining because you're treated like a cocaine and pot dealer who had a group of salespeople under her that enforced their tariff through violence? Like that? You're being treated like that? What's the word I'm looking for? There's a word for what I'm feeling? Good. Good. Like you get the feeling like they had a wiretap and she got busted on the wiretap, and that was a key piece of evidence. So he's just like, it was like they spied on my campaign. You and I are exactly the same. By letting her free, I'm letting myself free. Aren't I kind of pardoning myself by pardoning her? What the shit?
Right. She was treated very unfairly. But she got 48 years, and that was bad. Now, today, if I did what I say, that
I'd shoot her myself in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and I wouldn't lose a vote.
you have to do. And again, I'm not sure the country's ready for it.
No, we're not. We're not ready to be fucking Venezuela. We're not ready to have like Hugo Chavez picking who dies. No.
You know, China was hugely, 150 years ago, China was taken over by much lesser countries because they were all drugged out on the opium, all the problem.
It's a communist regime.
They were on the opium, all the problems.
Regime. They dropped the hammer.
They were all drugged out, and
They were all drugged out.
they were a disaster. They were taken.
They were a disaster. Look, slow down, TED Talk. I'm not ready for a history lesson this early in the day. Too many dates and times and figures and facts.
Over by other smaller countries, large sections of China. And then things happened and they had strong leadership and they put in the death penalty and they've been able to build.
My point.
They've been able to build. Oh, fuck me. Oh. He thinks that they salvaged their economy and became a high-tech powerhouse because they put in the death penalty to stop people from doing opium in the 1800s. Motherfucker. Oh, God. It's like it hurts. Like the dumb, it hurts. It's so... I will say the face is knocking it out of the park, though. That's pretty much the look. That's it. I know what you're saying, man. I think he looks perfect. Look, that's my president, man. Hey, don't you fuck around, man. And I've done a thing or two. I've trusted a pill and snorted it. One time, I think it was mostly laxatives or whatever. Boo, doggy. I'm just saying my thoughts smoothed out a lot. I was about to tell y'all a one-time story. I'm going to save it for later. Oh, God.
If you speak to President Xi, he will tell you Without the penalty, we would have a non-functioning country.
Without the death penalty, and they did. They cut out the word death. They edited the word death out. With like they, sure, whoever posted the video here or Fox themselves.
My point is that you're getting hit from the right for being soft on crime because of the First Step Act. And then you're saying,
I signed the thing.
That would be your policy. Mark Short, the Vice President's Chief of Staff, said this weekend.
One of the most unseemly parts of the end of our administration was the pardons that Donald Trump gave to cocaine traffickers, to family members, to people guilty of violent crimes.
What do you say to that?
Because I looked at individual things, and I had committees doing this much more than me.
I looked at individuals, and I had committees doing it. I mean, I had committees looking at individuals. They did it. They picked these people. I trusted. I think it turns out a lot of them were Democrats. Most of them just got me coffee. I don't even know.
And they would look at things, and sometimes people, even when there's a violent crime, very few violent crimes, because I didn't want to take chances on that.
But you did.
Right? But they would look at...
Also, by the way, I'm sorry, if it's a violent crime, stay the fuck in there. Why would you, honest to God, what, explain to me, all the people that might be in jail for some...
People, and they would recommend
hold on,
to me...
shut the fuck up. All the people that are in jail in this entire country, in federal prison, where you can pardon somebody, the myriad of crimes that are out there, you know, like fucking crimes of paperwork, tax fraud, and fucking bounce checks and blah, blah, blah. You can find some poor asshole who bounced one too many checks or whatever, and it just got a lot more time than they should have because the town was sick of their shit. And then they crossed a state line and they ended up getting a federal charge on it. It was stacked on their other stuff. And then you end up in jail. Like, it's just fucking sad. I understand those people. There's plenty of those fucking people. There's too many of those people to pick from. You could literally pick from different, every demographic you're trying to reach in the election cycle. You could get 6. And this motherfucker's like, some violent, I don't know, I was looking at some, no. How about this? No violent criminals get pardoned. None. Violence, do you fucking people don't understand violence when it actually fucking happens. You know what it takes to actually exercise violence on one of your fellow human beings out of your own egotistical fucking choices? Kill that person, beat that person, cut that person, stab that person, rape that person. Do you know the mindset involved? The fucking ego it takes for somebody to think my desires, my pleasure, my existence, my enjoyment for the evening is more important than you having functioning limbs for the rest of your fucking life. No. Like, at some point, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody presented like a moratorium on, on pardons for violent criminals by the president. Like, you can't do it. Like, if it's a violent crime in these categories, no murder, attempted murder, fucking rape, armed robbery, no. Bombings, whatever the fuck. No. Busy yourself with other people who might actually, they tried to buy a TV in the, mid 70s with a bum check and they've been sitting in a fucking room all this time. Let them out, for fuck's sake. Even if they reoffend, it's relatively fucking harmless. I didn't want to take a chance. Listen to this dickhead.
Well, even when there's a violent crime, very few violent crimes, because I didn't want to take chances on that.
All right, what violent crimes do you're like, I'm okay with that one? Just for my own advocate, name fucking one. What was it? Did he pistol whip a granny? What did he do? He beat up a woman that looked vaguely like Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah, like he hit somebody or they hit somebody that looks like somebody you wish you could hit if you weren't such a wuss. Is that what it is? What was it? What violent crimes were okay? For fuck's sake.
Right? But they would look at people and they would recommend to me, do it or not.
they would recommend to me do it or not. So you would take their recommendation. So you didn't look at these things. You had other people making a list and selling fucking pardons.
Turned down 50 for everyone I pardoned.
I turned down 50 for everyone I pardoned. What was the ratio? Is that the ratio of black to white? Fucking hell.
But sometimes you would see something that normally you wouldn't do, and you do it on recommendation of a very good committee. We had a very good committee, a very capable committee.
A blue ribbon committee, like the one the First Lady was on. It's full of shit, and it doesn't actually change anything. Like that?
But if you want to stop drugs in this country, which by
we got to start murdering people the minute they're accused of selling drugs. Because even if they just started yesterday, that's, I mean, they're gonna, if you let them live, they're gonna obviously smuggle all these drugs into prison in their butt and kill 500 prisoners. And even though that might be, well, some people would even say that's not such a bad thing, that you still can't do it. You can't do it because I don't think the country's ready for it.
the way, cause I would say 50, 60% of the crime.
And add fentanyl in there, yeah.
Especially when you had, the fentanyl is a disaster. One thing about fentanyl, so I was.
Okay, here we go. We get the anecdote. So I was with President Xi, and I was like, you can't do it. You better not do it. And they didn't do it. They stopped doing it. Now they're doing it a lot.
With President Xi, and we had a deal worked out. He was going to give the death penalty to anybody in China that made fentanyl. He was going to call it a criminal act. And
he was going to call it a criminal act. He didn't call it that before?
He was all set to do it. Then again, we had the election. That's the end of that. They would not.
I see. They were, yeah. And you bought it? You believed them?
Not have been sending fentanyl. They send it right through Mexico, comes right through the border.
Okay, so you think COVID was an accident, but you think fentanyl is a murder plot. Great.
But right now, 12 times more drugs come through the border than came through when I was president.
During COVID, when the fucking nobody was coming across the border, and again, the ports were fucking closed.
Now, Bret, one thing, if you want
to do this, we've got to I think we have to use some Jewish space lasers and shoot anybody who makes fentanyl in China. I think we got to kill them from space. I think that's really the only.
Want to stop drugs? There's only one way you're going to stop.
That's right. You got to kill these people, Bret. You got to kill them sight unseen. I mean, if they can't get their act together and defend themselves in 24 hours, dead ski. And if we turn out to be wrong, it seems, it's unfortunate, but is it really? We don't know. But also it makes us look tough. We got to be tough.
The death penalty for dealers.
Jesus Christ. Nope.
That the criticism about what you did and didn't do that day, your communications at all.
So I gave many in my speech. My speech has been reviewed by every lawyer that's reviewed it. Said it was a perfectly normal speech.
No, it wasn't, and I'll tell you why. Here's the main reason why Trump's Jan 6 speech was the root of the insurrection and the entire point. The phrase we're gonna walk down to the Capitol and I'm gonna go with you was originally in the teleprompter, written into the speech, and then they took it out when his own lawyers told him, if you put that in and you actually do it, you have to get a permit, and it's also going to set off alarm bells everywhere, and it's going to quintuple the security around the entire area. You're going to have to get way more cops. You can't have people marching towards the fucking Capitol with you without the, all the streets being lined with police. And they're going to have to, partition off places. It's one thing if you're having a rally someplace, but once you decide to take it onto the street officially, for it to not be put down like a riot, you're going to have to get a permit. And he took it out specifically so that they wouldn't be prepared at the Capitol on that day. Because it had been in there, they would have put up walls in front of the Capitol, those big barriers we saw after the fact. They would have had way more police and National Guard around it. But the reason they didn't have it is because there was no belief that he was going to send a group of people down there and say he was marching with them. He took it out for that reason. He wanted the guard to be lowered at the Capitol.
Here, Maxine Waters hit him in the face and hit him here and hit.
That's not what you said.
My speech was an elegant speech. It was Lindsey Graham said about my speech, That's maybe the softest speech I've ever heard you make. It's very interesting. I said, peacefully and patriotically. Be peaceful, be patriotic.
Yeah, on the walk down there. Yeah, don't tear up the plants or wreck the fucking trees on your way down there. Once we get there, though, don't start ripping shit up peacefully and patriotically. We're going to walk down to the Capitol. Once you get there, you got to let your voice heard or we're not going to have a country. And you're going to have to be strong and you're going to have to fight. And if Mike Pence doesn't have the, of course, walk down there peacefully and patriotically. He wanted it to be a march. That's what patriotically meant to him. He wanted everybody to fucking like an army.
But even more than the speech, I put out statements. Now, 2 of those statements were on Twitter. And as soon as I put them out, they terminated me. And the reason they terminated...
No, they didn't. He put out the statements like, don't attack the police. They're our friends or they're on our side. Right. The idea was being that they're on our side. Well, his supporters had already believed at that point that the Capitol Police are not the police. The Capitol Police are jackbooted soldiers that work for Nancy Pelosi, and they're a extrajudicial force put in there by the fucking UN and all sorts of nudnik bullshit. And the idea that people in the middle of a fucking riot are going to go, hang on. He tweeted something. What? Oh, it's a retweet. Never mind. Kill. Like, they were building a gallows, you dumb fuck.
Me, I've heard, is because those statements were so good. They were beautiful statements. Go home. Don't do this. Go home, etc., etc.
Etc., etc. Why don't you just read them? Bret, put them up on screen.
2 things interesting about that day.
That you waited so long to make those statements because you were hoping it would actually work, and then once you realized it wasn't going to be successful, and you heard Secret Service go, Pence is clear, and they had him secured and they knew he'd be okay, that, unless they burnt the building down around him, which was, it's made out of rocks, so it's a little difficult. Once you heard that, you're like, all right, call it off.
Number 1, they never show the pictures of the actual rally where I made the...
Oh my God, this whole fucking ego push. I had a huge crowd, probably the biggest crowd I've ever had. Right? Yeah. We don't give a shit. You know why? Because the vast majority of those people, even though I would have huge disagreements with them politically, even though some of them wear ridiculous shirts with your head on Rambo's body and stuff, and I find that hilarious, they went the fuck home. I don't have a problem with any of those people. You can have whatever political belief you want. You can rally about that shit, but I'm not talking about them. The vast majority of the people, the size of that rally is more indicative of what a small group was able to do and how violent they became, and how his focus was on the people who attacked the fucking place and defending them ever since. Instead of saying, the vast majority of people at my rally, they were upset and we had our say and all that kind of stuff, but then in the end of the day, it went that direction. We wish it hadn't, and we're going to fight like hell to get it back next time. They went the fuck home to vote next time. He didn't. Those people are forgotten. If you didn't charge the fucking Capitol, you're not a real maggot to him.
Speech. All they do is show the Capitol with maybe 1,000 people.
Maybe 1,000 people.
It was the largest crowd that I've ever spoken before, and some people say it was way over 1 million people.
No. Also, why is Fox not showing an aerial shot? Tell me they had a drone that day?
But it was the largest crowd that I've ever spoken before. Nobody...
I got to tell you, it looks like one of those like Good Morning America park concerts in Central Park, size-wise. And I'm fairly certain those things cost money.
Never shows it.
But I'm talking about January 6th, that day. Are you, about what you did and didn't do, worried about where this is headed at all? You said that you would pardon.
No, let me tell you this. I said it was a great speech. And I tell these people, like, they're so unfair, everything.
Perhaps the rioters. Would you also pardon the people who were convicted of assaulting officers?
Well, you also have, no, we'd look at individual cases, but many of those people are very innocent people. They did nothing wrong. In
Yeah, just, that's why I pardoned some violent people.
Portland, where they killed people and they've destroyed a city. I mean, the place it's all boarded up. They destroyed, nothing happened to them. In Seattle, where they...
Yeah, they did. The FBI has arrested a lot of those people, especially, and again, if you cross state lines, that's the idea. That's where it becomes a federal issue, and they attacked a federal building. If you attack that part of it, then you can extend those out. And you go on the FBI website, they're seeking these people out. That's why they're all in black bloc. They're all wearing fucking face coverings and hiding and all that kind of shit. Because if if we were the kind of country where Antifa's just allowed to burn the shit down, why would they be wearing masks and covering up who they are? Secondly, prove to me they're not, spoilers from your side. Right? That's how it works. That's why fucking dressing in all black and throwing Molotov cocktails is no proof of that you're behind any political convictions, if you have any at all. It's just anarchy for the sake of whatever side you want to benefit from.
Took over 20% of the city. Nothing happened to them. And these people, many of them, soldiers and policemen and firemen and teachers and doctors, these people, nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Yes, they have. Most of these fuckers went home. Most of them got at worst, an ankle bracelet. Most of them got a slap on the wrist. The only ones that are still in jail fucking threatened the judge during their bail hearing or spit on a fucking guard or pulled shit like that. Like, fuck out of here.
Like a third world. We're being run now like a third world country.
No, we're not. And nice edit, by the way. Watch this.
And firemen and teachers and doctors.
Whatever he said after third world country, they cut it out. Probably that he was wrong. That's a
ninth world country, not a third world country. A ninth
these
world
people,
country.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it. This is like a third world. We're being run now like a third world country.
You've suggested you may skip the early Republican primary debates, the first being in August in Milwaukee. You're still in that.
Why are you such a blazing pussy about it? That's my. This is from a viewer question, of course.
Mindset.
I like to debate. I probably am here because of debates. I don't mind it at all. But when you're 40 points up and you're running against, and even one came out today that you saw 51 points up, why would I let Ada Hutchinson, I call him Ada because,
Because you forgot his name is Asa?
His name's Asa, but I call him Ada for whatever reason.
Why is that?
Oh, I see. Because you forgot his fucking name? I've got the best words. I know everything. I have the best memory. And I think his name's Ada. It's Ada? It's Asa. I just remembered it's Asa, and I just said Ada. But I'm going to pretend I did it on purpose because I'm that fucking weak.
And even one came out today that you saw 51 points up. Why would I let Ada Hutchinson, I call him Ada because, his name's Asa, but I call him Ada for whatever reason.
Why is that? He needs...
I think he's weak.
Okay.
I think he's ineffective. But...
Yeah, that's not a reason. You're going to aid A. Hutchinson? Is that where we're going? Good Lord.
Why would I let him, Chris Christie, who's got nothing going except I could be tougher than Trump. He's not tougher than anybody's slob. But
yeah, he's not tougher. He's a slob. Yes, because you're the physical perfection. I'm sorry, you were ubermensching. I'm sorry.
Why would I let these people take shots at me? In other words...
They're going to take shots at you. The question isn't about whether you let them take shots at you. That's part of the process. They're going to put ads up. They're already taking shots at you. He showed the fucking video just recently, just a couple of minutes ago, of them lining up your lockdown talk and the fact that you've let people out who are violent criminals. They're going to take the shots. The debate part is whether you can take the heat of somebody throwing shit your way and answer it, which is part of your tough guy mythology. You'd think you'd jump at the chance.
Hey, Ronald Reagan had primaries. They all had primaries. I had one.
Yeah, but Reagan was still president when he was like, fuck this.
Last time. And Biden, he's got somebody at 21%. I just saw a number, 21%. JFK Jr., who's...
JFK Jr. I call him JFK Jr. for some reason. Ada Hutchinson calls him that, I guess. JFK Jr. And the QAnons are going nuts right now. They're like, oh my God, I fucking knew it. It's not Robert F. Kennedy. He's JFK. It's actually JFK Jr. RFK Jr. is really JFK. RFK Jr. is the one who died in the plane crash, and JFK Jr. is really their adrenochrome.
Very nice person, Maurice.
Hold on. Listen to this. Listen to it again. And again, Bret Baier rolling in to save him.
I had one last time. And Biden, he's got somebody at 21%. I just saw a number, 21%. JFK Jr., who's a very nice person. I know him very well. He's a very, very fine person. He's at 21%.
Oh, he's a very fine person. Was he in Charlottesville by any chance?
But DNC's not going to do any debates. He won't agree to them.
But
so what does it mean if the two front runners for the White House, you and President Biden, duck the debate stage?
Oh, no, we have to.
Well, the sitting president ducking the debate stage, depending on the issues that he's dealing with, make total fucking sense because you're busy being president. A lot of presidents in the past have used that excuse, and it works just fine. This motherfucker has a lot of free time.
Debate. No.
Primaries.
Oh, yeah, we have to. He and I have to definitely debate. That's what I love. But the two of us have to debate as the two even if the polls are...
So you haven't made your definitive decision on the primary?
No, I haven't, but I do say, why would I allow a hostile network, Fox, pretty hostile. Why would I allow...
You get a fair shake.
Okay, but I mean, this is a fair interview, but it's hostile. It's on the hostile side.
It's hostile. Fucking hell. Yeah, it's totally hostile. Motherfucker just told you it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., not John F. Kennedy Jr. He's trying to help you out, dum-dum.
I wouldn't say it's a puff piece, but that's okay. Hey,
I wouldn't say it's a puppy. That's the standard. I would say you're kissing my ass, and that is the only way I take my interviews. That's the only way I want it. That's the only way I'll have it.
River.
I just need the kind of interview that I kind of need, and that is that.
Where's Dick? Hi, Dick. Do we like Dick? Yes.
What?
Bret, why would I allow a hostile network and then allow people...
I don't know, because you can fucking handle it? Because you're trying to be president of the United States? And it might just be that being able to handle that kind of thing and handle that pressure and push back on those things and maintain your cool and your calm and be able to have a command of the facts and reality might be one of the key components of being able to do the fucking job.
People that are polling at zero. They're polling at zero, many of these guys. One of them is zero with an arrow left. Now, I think that's a mistake. In other words, a zero, that's less than zero. Christie's like at 1% or less. Many of them, Nikki Haley's at 2%. She hasn't caught on because everyone knows she's, highly overrated.
Okay, first of all, you fucking hired her, stupid. Again, by the way, these are all people that Trump previously praised during his the best people phase, which I guess he's given up.
Put Nikki there because I like the governor.
But I hate her now.
The lieutenant governor of South Carolina. And Henry McMaster has turned out to be a great, great governor.
That's why you put her in the position for the UN?
I got two for the price of one. I put her over there, but much more important to me, because Henry McMaster...
Wait, so his argument is he put her at the UN so that he could help one of his political partners. He could broom the female governor of a state so that her second in command could get this. Holy shit. How is this not an ad? Nikki Haley, have at it.
McMaster was great, always great, and people love him in South Carolina, and I got him to be governor of South Carolina. That was a very big thing to me, and I put her in that other position. But look, Nikki...
He put her at the UN just to clear the way for a buddy of his to become fucking governor without... All right.
He is very low. They're all very low. So why would I allow people at 1% and 2% and 0% to be hitting me with questions all night?
I don't know. Good idea. How about the guy at 20%? I mean, like I said, you got free time.
I don't think it's fair.
Does any of this ever get to you? Are you ever exhausted by it?
I almost don't have time to be exhausted. I should be exhausted. Many people have asked, how do you take it?
And it's a really awkward question
Drop
a lot
your
of
shorts
times.
and bend over, Mr. Baier.
And how do I take it?
River.
The reality is I take it...
I think people saw that loud and clear.
And
I think genetically, it's like...
Genetically. Genetically. Does that explain everything? So genetically, you can take the pressure of whatever being the target of things, like you have a fucking choice. But genetically, you can't debate the top two people who you're running against when you're not even fucking president and you have nothing worthwhile to do. Nothing. You're a retiree. You're a retired public official who spends half his time microblogging with a small team. Good Lord.
I don't read, obviously.
I had to beat off.
Yeah, it's genetic. Yeah, the whole thing's genetic.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Right. That's that. But all these things, these are just genetic.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, it's a genetic affectation.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
I mean, it's got to be in the genes. You'd have to. I mean,
Even
obviously.
brought a safe cracker
Yeah, they did.
in his sock drawer.
That's a weird place to put a safe cracker, I gotta say.
Whether it's an athlete or something else.
Because you've been under fire in the spotlight for a
Well,
long
I've been
time.
under fire from the time I came down the escalator. Maybe before that. If you look at the whole hoax, it started when my name was first announced, and I did well on the poll right from day one. You know, when I came down that first day,
No, you didn't.
I went to number one of the poll, and I never came back. As a Republican, I was center stage every single.
And by the way, he dipped a couple of times. There were people who thought they could jockey ahead of him.
Debate. And we had a lot of them. But I was center stage every single. And by the way, I didn't do one debate because I thought Fox was treating me very unfairly. You know, you don't remember that.
I know.
That
I
debate
remember.
didn't do too well either. But
Yeah, because apartment fires and slow speed chases do better than all kinds of real news. That's not the fucking point. As a matter of fact, the more ratings the news gets, the worse things are. News should be a perfunctory aspect of people's viewing in terms of like what they watch on cable or where anywhere else except here where it's fun. But the idea that somehow, yes, if the debates are full of bullshit and they're run like some sort of like Real Housewives version of The Apprentice, then yeah, they're going to get more attention. That doesn't mean that's good. That's like, you know, when they put facelifts and tummy tucks as part of GDP growth someplace. And you're like, look how much the economy's growing because our people are miserable and sick and chasing youth in the worst way possible.
and I would love to debate in one way, but in another way I say, why would I debate allowing people that are polling at zero, have no votes, have no popularity, shouldn't be there, they're wasting everyone's time and they know it. Why would I allow them to ask me questions?
Yeah, well, I think especially because you'd have someone that might be at 0% or 1% suddenly kick your ass. I mean, that's what the fear is, isn't it? That somebody at 7% can just kick your ass. Because I got news for you. Like, Biden's not going to debate RFK and fucking Marianne Williamson. It's a waste of goddamn time. They're not going to argue fucking, like, anti-vax autism bullshit or fucking we need a country that's run on love except for certain fucking people. And we've got to let Ukraine get rolled over by Russia because, you know, peace is peace at all costs, even if it means someone else getting murdered and raped. That, you know, as long as we don't have to look at it, we should maybe just turn the channel. Maybe I'll talk to Oprah and she'll counter program the war for a little while. That'll be it. Like, he mopped the floor with him. But in the reality, he's scared shitless because Christie and Pompeo and even DeSantis are gonna attack him on policy, and they're gonna agree on policy. Like, they're gonna take his policy and go, look, the problem isn't America first. It's that you need somebody competent to run it, and this dickhead can't do anything right. And we lost a bunch of seats, and we lost the House, and we should have had a big red wave that covered, but it was it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to
The royalty POV bullshit genetically. Yeah, seriously, CSL. Like, you know me. Like, this gets me, and it's not just because I'm, you know, 5'8" and $165, fully clothed, soaking wet, you know, and I look at the Brad Pitts and the Ryan Goslings of the world, and I go, shit. On occasion, it's not, you know, like, I'm not going to get to play Captain America. It's just not going to happen in that form. Maybe a what if somewhere, but it's not going to happen. And I'm okay with that. I can still aspire to the better characteristics of those folks, and it's okay by me. But the idea that some people are just genetically better at handling stress when he's just gacked up on benzos and Adderall all the time, allegedly.
ask this question, the final question. Christine
The final question. And then enjoy your retirement as a semi-retired microblogger.
sent an Instagram post, and she asked, how is Melania handling all of this?
Who? I don't, you know, you're going to have to ask me. She's doing very well. People love her. She's very popular. I haven't seen her in weeks.
She is a woman of great dignity and beauty and style. She is a very popular first lady.
Why don't you just talk about a statue? Does this sound like somebody talking about their wife?
A lot of people might not know that one way or the other. When I make speeches, we're starting the rallies now very soon, and when I make speeches, we have 50,000, 75,000.
No, you don't.
People, 25,000, 20,000.
2,300. You should have seen me in the Florida Rotary Club. Small ceiling, no lights. I was still magic. The single claps, I think I enjoy the one clap in a lot of ways better than lots of people booing. I like that where it just kind of peters off, like they do it and they expect people to join in and then they don't. I think I enjoy that. If you want to know the truth, I enjoy that more.
We have massive crowds, biggest ever in the history. There's never been anything like it.
No, Erdogan literally beat yours just weeks ago, and he barely squeaked by in his election.
So many signs. We love our first lady.
So many signs. We love our first lady. Yeah, the big, my favorite are the people who have the big fuck Christmas signs. Or the ones that come dressed as like bloody stalagmites.
The people love Melania.
And I'm on the fence about it, honestly. Some people like her a lot. Some people don't. I like her, occasionally.
She's a very confident person. She feels I'm being very badly mistreated. And she says, you go ahead and you do whatever you want to do because I'm with you 100%.
So Melania,
you do whatever you want to do. Just do it on somebody else. Whatever you do, don't do it on me.
and Barron fully in.
They're great. They're great.
They're great. That's all you need to know. They are great. Although I'm a little pissed that Barron is taller than I am. And it's caused some tension in the house. Honest to God.
They don't like the gas.
So,
Mr. President, do you think you were fairly treated today?
I don't know. A couple of questions could have been done without, but that's okay. I enjoyed it.
a couple of questions could have been done without. I don't know. I could have done without a couple of the questions, but sure. Instead, that may have been the way the words left his fucking brain, but the way they came out of his face.
Fully in.
They're great. They're great.
Mr. President, do you think you were fairly treated today?
I don't know. A couple of questions could have been done without, but that's okay. I enjoyed it.
We really
I enjoyed it. He looks like he enjoyed it. Just that. Bret, you fucker.
appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, don't show the. And by the way, does Bret Baier have tiny hands too? Oh my God, they're like a race of beings. They hang out together. This is all for show. Shit. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. We got through it.